We have local experts on our show having to do with health, legal, financial, and home improvement. To all my Jewish friends out there, happy Hanukkah. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas, and we want to wish you from the staff here a happy and healthy New Year. So we got that out of the way. Now let's do better things now. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about business law, and we have, I don't think she can say this, but I can. We have one of the top business law attorneys in South Florida, actually probably in Florida, Marlon Weiner. How about that?
Okay. Thank you. Nice to be here with you again, Steve.
Listen, you do a real estate show too.
Yes.
And Marlon will be with us again next month. And it's amazing now how many emails we're starting to get. So starting next month, we will start reading your emails on air, your questions for Marlon. And since this is a new time for us, this is only our second week, tell people about your practice.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Always great to be with you here on the show.
She's already sucking up already.
Well,
She doesn't even have
you
to.
make it so easy, Steve. My practice is pretty much split between real estate and business transactions. My main office is in Boca. I do also have an office in Aventura. I've been practicing real estate and business law for over 30 years. I'm licensed in 4 states, but I just practice in Florida at this time. People want to reach me on the phone. My number is 561-443-7124, and my website is mwfloridalaw.com.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. You should have been a professor. I'm going to tell you why. It is so easy to understand you. You don't talk over people's head. You kind of like maybe come down to our level because we're not lawyers. And it's just so easy to interview you, and that's what makes this show so great. And listen, if you're in Palm Beach, if you're in Dade County, it is worth it to give Marlon a call. Maybe you're starting a new business. Even if you had a long-standing business, you need someone to help you with contracts.
There's always a question.
People try to save money, don't they?
Well, yeah, and it's always kind of penny wise, pound foolish.
Yes.
So, better to get guidance. Always better to ask the question before. Always better to ask before you sign. Okay? I can tell you what you signed afterwards, but I can't fix it. That's the problem. So it's always better if I get to read your contract or you ask me a question before you jump.
And
Okay.
just so people
Then
know,
I can help you.
You also do real estate too.
Yes.
So it's not just business contracts that you work on. Do you ever have to do much litigation?
I'm not a litigation attorney.
Good. Means you don't like going to court.
No, that's not my style. But I do work with some excellent litigation attorneys, and if people have the need, I have good people to refer them to. But they're not going to find me in the courtroom.
You know, I'll tell you why that's good. You go to the courtroom, it gets real expensive.
It's very expensive.
So you try to keep your clients out of the courtroom.
Exactly. And people are really shocked when they do call me about litigation matters, and I will give them names of, colleagues who specialize. And I try to explain to them how expensive litigation is, and they're shocked because everybody wants to sue everybody until they find out what it costs to sue everybody. And then all of a sudden you say, well, maybe not so fast. This is a very expensive state to litigate in. You really need to have a significant claim.
There's not a for sure case, is there? Some people think they've got a for sure case.
You know what? In every courtroom every day, there's one winner and one loser. We all think we have a great case. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way we thought it would.
So I see you that you're really honest and upfront with your clients.
Absolutely.
You might not tell them what they'd like to hear, but you're sure going to protect them.
Absolutely. That's my job. I always say to them, I want the best objective for them, but I'm not really a cheerleader. That's not really why they're coming to me. Okay, somebody else in their world is supposed to be the cheerleader. I'm supposed to protect them. I'm supposed to guide them. Try to get the best objective, but to make sure that they're protected. I mean,
You're a
that's my
family
job.
person too, aren't you?
Absolutely.
She brings her husband. I love this. She brings Jay, her husband, in here. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So let's talk about, because I know off the top of my head, a letter of intent.
It's really the starting block, of a business transaction, particularly a sale of a business. And I know we have so many listeners that wonder about buying a business or selling a business. And it generally starts with a letter of intent. That's not your agreement of sale. It's the first document, though, that you will probably be looking at and probably be signing. And it's important because a lot of the terms that are going to be in your deal, if they're in the letter of intent, you're stuck with them for better or for worse. So you don't just sign anything. You need to be careful about your letter of intent. You need to be careful about what's in there. What am I buying? What am I selling? What am I paying for? All the ins and outs of your deal, the kind of the big items.
You have a checklist in your mind.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you how important this is. There's some idiots out there. It was a friend of mine, a real good friend of mine, so I'm not going to say his name. He thought he could save a lot of money by trying to put a contract together himself. Now, I mean, my friend did this, and there were so many things that were forgotten.
Well, that's it.
And I tell you what happened is, of course, it was me, but they found a way to get out of the contract after they found out how to do everything. Because dummy me, you know everything. You know what needs to be. You'll probably bring stuff up that people never even heard of that need to be in that contract, because you start probably from the courtroom back.
Well, you know what can go wrong. Okay, so you know where things can go off the tracks. So you're trying to, it's always, my father would always say, we don't learn from our successes, we learn from our mistakes. So we know all of this because of the mistakes, the deals that have gone bad. We learn from them. So I make sure that, the new client doesn't have the experience that somebody else had, before. But letters of intent, important to, lay out the basics of the transaction. They'll get fleshed out when we get to the agreement of sale stage, but we still need the basics in there. But what's very important is letters of intent walk a fine line between binding and non-binding, okay? A letter of intent always has to provide outs, okay? We have to be able to get out of it. If it doesn't look like this deal is working, okay, for a variety of reasons, we may never get to the next stage. So we need to have a way out of the letter of intent. I always like to build in what's called a drop-dead date, that if we don't move to the next stage by a certain date, we can pull the trigger and move on.
Because you've seen this.
Exactly. I've seen them, and then if you don't have that, you are stuck in this, like, are we in? Are we out? How do I get out? Can I talk to another buyer? Where am I?
And that also includes real estate, too.
Same
thing.
Exactly the same thing. But on the other hand, there's some provisions we want to be binding regardless of whether we pull the trigger and cancel the deal. For example, confidentiality provisions that the people, I think you might have had the same experience, pick your brain, look at your books, look at your, basically your secret sauce.
Get educated.
You get it, and go steal that and use that. You want to make sure that those provisions survive, whether you go to the next stage or not.
And sometimes people who work for you, the Indians want to become the chief someday, right. And they're out there getting educated while you're paying them, and all of a sudden one day they end up as your competition. So I would not think of that. You would as an attorney.
Right. And
how to protect yourself.
Right. And that's the attorney's role. And when we're starting a business, when we have, clients who are starting a business, those are the kind of questions we're asking. We're not just asking about buying the business or starting the business. We're asking about, are you going to have employees? Okay? What kind of relationship are you going to have with your employees? Are you going to be offering employment agreements or not? That's a big issue in Florida because we are at what's called an at-will state.
Is there still a non-compete with employees?
Well, non-compete is an interesting topic.
Is that still
with
around, though?
It's still around, but it only really comes into play if they are under an employment agreement or you've been able to get them to sign a non-compete agreement in connection with their employment. And they are enforceable in Florida, but they must be reasonable within their terms. They must be reasonable within scope, duration, geography, and they must be reasonable in terms of the employee and their duties. For example, it would not be reasonable to have the lowest level clerk in an organization, you know what I mean,
Right.
restricted from working for another similar company. But it could be reasonable to have a managerial level employee restricted from working for a competitor. But it's not reasonable to restrict them for a lifetime, typically up to 2 years. When we sell a business, a little bit different. When you buy a company from somebody, you don't want the person you bought the company from now going and opening up a
Right,
competitive
exactly.
business down the street. Those restrictive covenants typically are longer. Typically can go out to
And
5
I've got
years
so
in
many
Florida.
questions for. We got to go to break. Give everybody your phone number.
It's 561-443-7124.
We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, would you like to save money each and every month? Of course you would. We all want to save money, but how? By calling Debbie at I Will Advisors, that's how, and have her review your homeowner's policy. Most homeowners never review their policy, but it should be reviewed every year. You commercial property owners, same goes for you. So what are you waiting for? Call Debbie at I Will Advisors and start saving money. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
The law firm of Marlin J. Wiener, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law, business transaction, and acting as a title and closing agent. Attorney Wiener combines over 30 years of solid real estate and business law expertise with understanding and compassion for her clients' needs. Attorney Marlin Wiener works with homeowners and local and foreign real estate investors who are buying and selling Florida real estate. She assists with deed transfers, residential and commercial sales and leases, title insurance, first-time home buying, and loan closings. Whether you are buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, you need sound legal advice. The law office of Marlin J. Wiener, PA, can help. To schedule a consultation, please call 561-443-7124.
And we are back. We're here with attorney Marlin Wiener, and her practice consists of real estate law and business law. I was just telling her that we got questions, a lot of questions this week by email. So I'm just going to throw this one out because it's such a great question. So it seems like everybody's trying to become a realtor now. Mm-hmm. They hear there's so much money in it. What they don't know is a lot of competition out there. Yeah. And people do it part-time, they do it full-time. She wanted to know, she's a brand new realtor, if she is hurting her friend who wants to hire her. Meaning, does she have enough experience? She just got her license to represent her friend. Sounds like maybe she was afraid that maybe, she didn't have enough experience yet.
Well, probably she doesn't. However, if she's with a broker, and you have to, as a sales associate, hang your license with a broker.
Right.
This is an opportunity for her to work with her broker. There's going to be people at the agency, her broker, more experienced sales associates that she can mentor with. So she shouldn't turn away an opportunity.
Because you see all kind of contracts.
Exactly. But I'm saying a realtor, they have, just like everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody's got to get that first transaction under their belt. Fortunately, the way most of the companies are structured, there's people that sales associate can mentor with. She's just got to, not be afraid to raise her hand and ask for help. But that's what she needs to do. She needs to, ask for help and guidance from more experienced agents.
So I think I'm hearing everybody had a great Christmas. I mean, I looked at the stock market today, way up. Yeah. So Christmas sales were good. Is there a good time to start a new business,
I think,
or does it matter?
you know, I think it's kind of one of those things that I think everything has to be in alignment. You know, the stars have to be in alignment for you. You have to be ready, and it's not just it's concept. You know what I mean? It's opportunity. It depends what you're doing. It's location, but I think the critical thing is capitalization. Okay, if you
People are undercapitalized.
undercapitalization, I think, is the biggest issue most small businesses face. Is you've got to have your capitalization, whatever your source is. It's always going to cost more than you anticipated. So be ready, and and if you have to be a little bit more patient, that might. So it takes 6 months longer or a year longer. But better to be patient and wait for success than to accelerate
Right.
and fail. And so I think that's the most critical thing for small
Funny you
businesses.
said location.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before. So there's a restaurant around here that has been 8 or 9 different restaurants.
Has like a black cloud over
So
it.
is it? It's like location, but you think it's a good location because it's right off of Dixie Highway,
Yeah.
and it's always been a restaurant. In fact, Dwayne Wade had
Right,
his name
I know.
on it at one time, and that didn't help. So when you just said location,
Yeah.
location, I guess sometimes it
Sometimes-
is important.
Sometimes it someplace has a great location, and it's just been unfortunate to have a string of bad operators. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
just gone from one to the next, and maybe the landlord gets so anxious and takes whoever comes up next to rent it because they need the cash flow, and it just becomes a very sad story that maybe the location really isn't the problem. It's just been, one bad operator after another.
You know, there's been a lot of pizza restaurants open up and close up after 6 months.
I've
Shouldn't
been
you have
involved-
enough money if it lasts you for a year?
It's
There's got to be some kind of guidelines, like you should be ready for 2 years, 3
Yeah,
years, not to make any money.
it's interesting. I've been involved in the sale of several pizza restaurants in Boca, and many times, I would say in about half of them, the people who bought the businesses, this was their first time in that industry, so they were not experienced, and it almost doomed them to fail. It was very unfortunate because it's the people who put, hard-earned money, life savings into this. They probably would have been better served having worked in a restaurant for
Right.
a year to be mentored and learn before buying it.
So I went
Yeah.
to culinary school,
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing they tell you is long hours.
Yes.
But you don't really realize until you start the restaurant business. I was
Yeah.
working 14, 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's a tough business.
It's very tough. It's very tough, and it's it's a tough one. It's hard, and it has a tremendous failure rate. It's probably the highest failure rate is restaurants in the first
Restaurants
year.
are?
Yeah, it's probably the highest. It's really tough. Yet, on the other hand, some of them were phenomenally successful. So it's-
McDonald's, I think my numbers might be wrong, but you put up about $350,000, and they told you you have to have enough to last you 3 years. You're going to lose money. Who would ever think McDonald's would lose? But the first 3 years.
Yeah.
But how many at McDonald's go out of business, though?
Rare.
Yeah.
Rare, but
Do you
occasional.
like franchise businesses?
I think some of them are very solid. Some of the franchises are very, very solid. It's funny. We were just driving by and we were noticing. I have a client who is in the midst of opening a franchise, and one that I just drove by said to my husband, "Wow, there's another F45 franchise, which is a circuit training franchise out of Australia. They seem to be popping up everywhere." So people must love the program, must love the concept. And I have a client who's opening one up in South Miami, literally opening any day now. And he loved the concept. They're giving a lot of support, and a lot of people are buying that franchise.
Wow.
And, so that's what it's all
Well, the
about.
good thing about a franchise is you're working off someone's mistakes, that you don't have to do the same
Well,
mistakes
it's
again.
supposed to be, they're giving you support, they're giving you marketing.
Right.
It's supposed to, basically, they've made the mistakes, they've solved it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're giving you the package. On the other hand, you're paying for that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just your upfront fees; you're paying, royalty fees over time. But so, as I said, some of them are very successful. In the fitness industry, there's a lot of them that are very successful. Orange Theory, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, they're opening up
they're
everywhere.
You'll see it now. You'll drive around and you'll see these F-45s are opening up everywhere. But
Can you tell us what it is?
from what I know, it's
Is it a retail store? Or?
it's circuit training.
Oh, okay.
It's circuit training, fitness, and that's when this is a guy who's out of
And it's called F-45?
F-45, and as I said, they're from Australia, but heavily coming into the U.S.
Wow.
But, there's other franchises in the food industry that do very, very well. Panera's is a franchise. Five Guys is a franchise. These are strong players, in
I'm
the
thinking
restaurant
about
industry.
franchising my business. I thought about just going and picking up a rock and put it in a box.
Yeah.
And sell it.
I think somebody did that a little while
They
ago.
did.
Right.
$70 million.
Yeah.
I even forgot what it was called, but they just Pet Rock.
Pet Rock.
They put a rock in the box and okay, we got to come. Jay, Rhonda.
We've got to come with
Gotta
something.
come
So
up
we
with
got to
something.
we got to crack this.
I tell you one business not to go into: the typewriter repair business. Do not go into that. God, this has been such a fast show. You'll be back again with us next month. Give everybody your phone number, and you got to give them your website because you got such a great website.
Thank you. It's 561-443-7124, and my website is mwfloridalaw.com.
Now listen, I can envision somebody looking for their pen in their car. Okay, you got your pen. We're going to give you the phone number again.
Okay, 561-443-7124.
And don't let the 561, if you're in 305 or if you're in 954, it's better to get the best than have to worry about if you got the best. Give Marlon a call. We'll be back next month with our real estate show and our business show. We're going to go to break right now, and we come back. We're going to be doing our claims show with attorney Josh. We'll be right back.
The law firm of Marlon J. Wiener, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law, business transaction, and acting as a title and closing agent. Attorney Wiener combines over 30 years of solid real estate and business law expertise with understanding and compassion for her clients' needs. Attorney Marlon Wiener works with homeowners and local and foreign real estate investors who are buying and selling Florida real estate. She assists with deed transfers, residential and commercial sales and leases, title insurance, first-time home buying, and loan closings. Whether you are buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, you need sound legal advice. The law office of Marlon J. Wiener, PA, can help. To schedule a consultation, please call 561-443-7124.